Hello and welcome to the Digital Academy. I'm your host, Mike. You've met me before. I do these once in a while. And this is another one that kind of caught my eye, the history of the world in 9 minutes. I don't know, I'm a sucker for in a certain amount of minute style videos, but let's see how this goes. Let's see if it's a cool one.
If you're the type of person who sometimes wakes up at 3 a.m. and lies in bed trying to wrap your tiny mind around the achingly vast universe and where it's all headed, well, we have something for you. Ever since the Big Bang, the universe has been drifting and expanding. The birth and death of stars leave an aftermath of galaxies, planets, and even living organisms.
Great definition.
This includes the sun, planets, and our solar system. At the center, the sun swept in smaller elements like hydrogen and helium. Farther away, heavier elements formed planets. Based on the core accretion model, gravity was the driver, coalescing Earth from a cloud of dust. Though Earth was neatly orbiting the sun as a rocky mass 4.5 billion years ago, no organism could survive there. Radiation from the recent supernova kept the planet extremely hot, its surface molten, and oxygen was non-existent. Plus, incredibly massive meteorites and asteroids frequently slammed onto the surface. The Earth got so hot it began melting. Heavier material sank to the bottom. Lighter stuff rose to the top.
This is cool because I misread the title and thought this was going to be like the history of countries and humans, not the history of like the planet. But whatever, that's pretty cool. It gets into I've always found the core of the Earth an interesting topic.
Some elements evaporated. This transformation created the Earth's layered core and mantle, crust, atmosphere, and magnetic field. Without it, Earth would be blasted by harmful rays from the sun. Before you learn everything about the Earth's history, hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. This way you'll be the first to learn about updates that appear on Googleplex. In the late Hadean Eon, the Earth was still in its late bombardment stage. There is no life. Temperatures are extremely hot, with frequent volcanic activity and hellish environments. The atmosphere is nebular, possibly early oceans or bodies of liquid water. The moon is formed around this time, probably due to a protoplanet's collision into Earth. In addition, there's reason to believe that these collisions could have sparked the chemical building blocks for life, DNA. Eventually, the climate on Earth became more stable. Instead of a molten state, the Earth started to cool down. Water vapor condensed to form oceans, and the Earth cooled down enough to create continents. Vale-Barra became Earth's first supercontinent. Photosynthetic organisms appeared between 3.2 and 2.4 billion years ago and began enriching the atmosphere with oxygen. Single-celled organisms consumed the sun's energy. As a waste product, this cyanobacteria eventually filled the oceans and atmosphere with oxygen. Earth now had an oxygenated atmosphere for new life to flourish, but it wasn't cyanobacteria. Oxygen was toxic for them. Much life on Earth probably died out as its levels rose in what is known as the oxygen catastrophe. Imagine a dominant species polluting the planet until extinction. Resistant forms survived and thrived, and some developed the ability to use oxygen to increase their metabolism and obtain more energy from the same food. At this time, methane was more abundant in the atmosphere. One thing that methane did very well was trap heat in the atmosphere. It's one of the most efficient greenhouse gases. So when oxygen combined with methane, it produced carbon dioxide. All of a sudden, the greenhouse effect wasn't as strong. As a result, the whole planet froze. It was snowball Earth for the next 300 million years.
300 million
As
years.
oxygen filled the atmosphere, Earth's ozone layer thickened. Before the presence of an ozone layer, life was restricted to shallow water. Because water shielded harmful radiation, That's where life existed. Eventually, a thicker ozone layer enabled life to diversify on land. 541 million years ago, hard-shelled invertebrates originated in the oceans, and life got more diverse from there. Next came the age of fish, when thousands of fish species arose. Plants and fungi were the first to venture out of the water, requiring them to adapt to new conditions on dry terrain. Some fish stayed in close proximity to land and gradually adapted to life there, simultaneously developing lungs. Amphibians were the first vertebrates to make the move to land. The transition to life on land benefited these creatures because there was no predators to begin with, and food was
So now it's
plentiful.
getting into the kind of evolution
That was the start
model.
of the age of amphibians. Then, 250 million years ago, was the Permian extinction, which caused extinction of 95% of all living species.
Wow.
When Earth's climate became hotter and drier, rainforests collapsed, triggering the age of reptiles. Unanimously depicted by Tyrannosaurus rex, locked in eternal conflict with mortal enemy Triceratops. Because reptiles evolved to dry land conditions, they gained a unique ecological advantage. Also notable is that Pangaea existed as one
that
supercontinent in this era.
glitchers that just
Dinosaurs lived on one supercontinent. Plate tectonics were the mechanism that
cool.
eventually tore continents apart. Don't forget that dinosaurs existed for 160 million years, so continental drift gradually rifted dinosaurs.
yeah, like think about that. Even if you take like the oldest estimates of, well, some, not the oldest, but you know, that video I showed not too long ago said like early human, that Randall Carlson video referred to like some of the earliest human remains at like 160,000 years. So even like 160,000, and that just said 160 million was how long dinosaurs were around. That's crazy.
apart. From between the feet of stomping dinosaurs, ratty animals scurry about, cue an asteroid impact, and the age of mammals begins. Mammals evolved
This is
from
obviously like
mammal-like
a
reptiles
crazy
called
simplification,
therapsids
right?
about 200 million years ago,
But it's an interesting overview.
and birds from small theropod dinosaurs about 150 million years ago. This evolution of both mammals and birds accelerated after the extinction of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago, when a 6-mile wide asteroid struck Earth just off the Yucatan Peninsula. This ejected vast quantities of particulate matter and vapor into the air that occluded sunlight, inhibiting photosynthesis. 75% of all life, including the non-avian dinosaurs, became extinct.
The
Poor dinosaurs.
non-birds, the
Imagine that if the
non-bird-
meteor never hit Earth, we would be intelligent dinosaurs. The first true mammals evolved in the
I don't know
shadows of
about that.
dinosaurs and other large archosaurs.
It's a crazy thought.
When dinosaurs roamed the Earth, mammals were very small and were probably nocturnal to escape predation. And because dinosaurs went extinct, mammals emerged as the largest land animals at the time. Creatures like Ambulocetus took to the oceans to eventually evolve
cool.
into whales, whereas some creatures like primates took to the trees. Then, just several million years ago, we believe that human life began to evolve. Apes remained in trees for their primary food source. Eventually, grass began to spread in places like the African savanna, and there were fewer trees. This forced apes to walk to new food sources. With their heads above the grass to see predators, apes evolved by walking on 2 legs. It also helped to have their hands available when they were traveling. Brain size increased rapidly, and by 2 million years ago, the
Yeah,
first
that other video we were watching was talking about how we were walking on 2 feet before we had the big brains. So that's consistent with what this just said.
animals classified in the genus Homo had appeared. They were known for sharpening objects with silicon rocks. They began to master the use of their hands and fingers. In the Stone Age, early humans had fire under control. This enabled them to cook their food, giving them more calories. Modern humans, Homo sapiens, learned to make more complex sounds and share information in groups. They are believed to have originated around 200,000 years ago or earlier in Africa. The oldest fossils date back to around 160,000 years.
Okay, so he just said 200,000, right? So I said 160,000. So still, like, we're making that comparison to dinosaurs that are around 160 million years. Tons of debate over how earliest human remains. And that's, in 5 years, that there might be huge finds that completely change this. There might be a huge find tomorrow. But anyways, this is interesting.
Years ago. And since then, humans have struggled to survive, or maybe Earth has. 5 billion years to build the Earth, and only several years to ruin it. What do you think about Earth's story? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit the like button below the video and click subscribe to stay with Googleplex.
Hey man, there's some points of contention if I was wanting to be really negative, but that was an awesome video in general in terms of just overview. So